Two things I want to cover with Nancy Pelosi, cunt mother. Okay. Mother Nancy Pelosi went on Donna Bash's State of the Union. Okay. And she has some choice words for the activists. You silly little activists running around demanding ceasefires in Gaza and shit like that. Let's take a look.
My house all the time. So I have a feeling for what feelings they have. But we have to think about what we're doing. And what we have to do is try to stop the suffering in Gaza. This is...
How do we do that? Yeah, if only there was a way to stop the suffering in Gaza. I'm sorry. Help. I can't stop giving weapons to the guys doing the suffering in Gaza.
Women and children, people who don't have a place to go. So let's address that.
She's right about Russia. Okay, we're America. What do you mean? We could just literally not give Israel the weapons and be like, sorry, this is going to Ukraine. The idea that like Russia is the reason why, or China is the reason why we're giving the weapons to Israel is so dumb. You're giving the weapons. What the fuck do you mean it's Russia? If anything, Russia loves America consistently giving the weapons that would normally go to Ukraine to Israel instead. This is what I don't understand. They're like, oh, Russia is stoking tensions. Okay, you don't understand. Russia is loving this right now. And it's like, yeah, okay, fine, fair. Is Israel's genocidal actions in Gaza genuinely to Russia's benefit in Ukraine? Absolutely. Who's the one arming Ukraine and arming Israel? We are. So clearly, if your goal is like, no, we got to give Ukraine these weapons, like we can't let Russia win, then fucking stop arming Israel. It makes no sense.
But for them to call for a ceasefire is Mr. Putin's message.
What do you mean? Why? If they called for a ceasefire in Gaza, then you could just go back to arming Ukraine instead of arming Israel. This makes no sense. How do we know what's the truth? Like, how do we know if Israel's receiving arms from the USA? I mean, there's logs of it. Like there's tracking. They also flex it. It's the munitions type that they're using. Like they're American arms. What? We confirm it. Source? Brother, just Google it. Like I don't know what to tell you. What? So when we send arms to a country, unless it's like a black budget operation, oftentimes it's like, even then there's like some level of paper trail that you can use with a FOIA request. Okay. In most circumstances, like we're very open, we're very public about who we're sending weapons to. And over the course of the past couple of months, I've covered extensively the fact that like the Biden administration has bypassed its own State Department regulations that they have with respect to what kind of weapons are being sent to Israel, and also the tracking of the kinds of weapons being sent to Israel, and also what those weapons will be used for. Like all of that stuff, all of those norms, I guess, we completely eviscerated. Beyond that, Biden has sidestepped congressional approval to continue giving more arms to Israel. Also, then there's a much larger arming bill as well. I don't know. Here, this is literally the CIA's very own, the Voice of America, operated by the State Department. Like it's not hidden. It's not like a secret. I've never thought about someone being like, what's the source on this? What's the source on Biden living in the White House? Excuse me? Source? Was that like a gotcha? I don't know. Maybe he just genuinely didn't know. I don't. It's funny because you said Raytheon makes the Iron Dome missiles in Arkansas. Yes, they also make the white phosphorus that Israel is illegally using. Both doubly illegal. Illegal because Israel is a belligerent occupier, and also doubly illegal because you're not supposed to use white phosphorus on a civilian population as a means to like torture them. So yeah, Arkansas also produces like the white phosphorus Israel is using on the civilian population in Gaza. Yeah, you can't use it on soldiers either. Yeah, you're not supposed to use it unless I think it's like what, to just like light it up. Like there's two different ones, right? It's either for smoke cover or for lighting up the sky, right? Isn't it? Yeah, it's just smoke for concealment or marking. Yeah. No, white phosphorus isn't for illumination. Illumination rounds exist for that reason, not white phosphorus. I thought white phosphorus and illumination rounds were similar. But I might be wrong. I've talked about this before. I'm not a munitions autist at all. I don't know enough. Or, yeah, I'm not a War Thunder player. Exactly. It used to be used to illuminate, but now there's less dangerous stuff. White phosphorus for illumination is very prone to blow up and no bueno if you want things to be illuminated and to also be burned alive. They make the illumination rounds for them M777 howitzer. They are white phosphorus. I was an artillery marine for 6 years. Yeah, the artillery rounds are illumination rounds. That's the one that they used on the Al Ahli hospital originally. Remember the hospital that Israel definitely didn't bomb, that they actually did bomb with a illumination round 2 days prior to them certainly not bombing the courtyard and all the controversy that came afterwards. Oh, I got sidetracked by this guy asking for sources. Interesting stuff from Nancy. Never really thought about it this way. And now that I have thought about it this way, I realize that it's the dumbest fucking argument you could possibly make. Because if your point overall is to claim that Russia personally is like pushing for a ceasefire and would benefit greatly from a ceasefire, well then you're a fucking dumbass. Because guess what? Technically, a ceasefire, a cessation of hostilities in Gaza would mean that America could care more about Ukraine rather than Israel. So, I don't know. Maybe because they're stupid. That's why.
Mr. Putin.
These Russians are so stupid. Mr. Putin, tear down that wall.
There is Mr. Putin's message. Mr. Putin's message. Make no mistake, this is directly connected to what he would like to see. Same thing with Ukraine. It's about Putin's message. I think some of these protesters are spontaneous and organic and sincere. Some, I think, are connected to Russia, and I say that having...
That's not it. Russia doesn't want a ceasefire. Sam Cedar made the same mistake. They don't have protesters because they want a ceasefire. They do it because they just want noise. Some Pelosi protesters aren't getting a ceasefire. What? Like, this argument has been the same in perpetuity. Russia takes advantage of American political instability all the time. Of course, they are a foreign adversary declared as a foreign adversary. It does not matter. You cannot get out of this situation by being like, well, that's Russia. That's a Russian agent speaking. Okay? It is such a idiotic assessment by Nancy Pelosi for the reasons that I just mentioned. It doesn't matter if Russia is like prodding protesters to push for a ceasefire or whatever the fuck Nancy Pelosi thinks. Okay, there are still a shit ton of people demonstrably, according to polling at least, especially in younger demographics, that genuinely think that America's help and facilitation of the genocide, the ethnic cleansing in Gaza is gross and should stop. If you think about it from a broader framework, when you look at what would happen if there was a ceasefire in Gaza, well, then you also realize that it's doubly stupid, okay? It doesn't matter. It would be in Russia's interest for America to continue fighting amongst itself, certainly, as they are a foreign adversary, sure. But it's also absolutely not in Russia's interest for America to shift its attention away from Israel back to Ukraine. So if that's the case, then why the fuck is it Putin's message overall? Yeah, Putin has said, Israel should stop doing what it's doing to Gaza, that Palestinians are in the right. Who gives a fuck what he's saying? He's right. Bro, check yourself. You sound like Vladimir Putin right now. I know. It's just, I guess I am. The notion that American protesters protesting against Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza is just a Russian op to a certain degree is really stupid, in my opinion. So yeah, she's probably correct to some degree, and you're correct. Many do want a ceasefire, myself included, but this is what they do. They started opposing protests in 2017 in St. Louis. What? 3 girls, 1 pudge. This is literally Russiagate shit. Okay, like marginal spending on like Facebook ads or to like create a Facebook group both in favor and against like police brutality is not the major problem here. Okay, the major problem is the police brutality itself. It doesn't matter.
Looked at this for a long time now, as you know.
You think some of these protests are Russian plants?
I think they're plants. I think some financing should be investigated, and I want to ask the...
Yeah, the second part is also really gross. We should investigate the public outcry against Israel's actions in Gaza is also gross. It's beneficial to Russia for the U.S. to keep funding Israel's violence. The U.S. is losing face on a global scale, and it's quite possible this will have economic repercussions. Yes.
The FBI to investigate that. But apart from that, let's just say it's all spontaneous and sincere. Let's say it's all spontaneous and sincere. Young people care about the right to choose. They care about LGBTQ issues. They care about preserving the planet. They care about gun violence prevention. That's what they tell us. They care about our democracy and the freedoms that are...
Which is why... Young people care about their democracy and our freedoms, which is why I'm suggesting the FBI investigate protesters that are currently democratically protesting against the American government's actions as it pertains to full-blown facilitation of genocide in Gaza. These are the things that young people care about. I'm here to tell you exactly the opposite. I'm here to tell you that I do not care about those things. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi.
Contained in some of what I said. So they're going to have to make a decision, staying home to enable or to agonize, organize. Yeah. Not agonize, but organize.
That's sick. Yeah. Young people care about these things. We are not going to do any of those things for young people. We should also investigate them. Think about all the good things we did about gun violence. Yeah, she's literally saying like, well, it doesn't matter if you care about genocide or not, because you're still going to have to vote for us because we're telling you that we will at least not be like full tilt anti-abortion in the same way the Republicans are. It's great.
And get out there and get the job. I have every confidence that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be President and Vice President of the United States.
Oh, this is an older moment, I guess, but here's what Nancy Pelosi said apparently in October, someone was saying. Pelosi to protesters outside of our house. Go back to China where your headquarters is.
You know it was an inside job.
Most of your constituents want beside you. Stop the genocide. Stop the Holocaust.
The Democrats want the ceasefire. The Democrats want the ceasefire.
She said, go back to China.
The Democrats want the ceasefire.
That's fucking sick. It's so funny because accusing your political opponents of being Chi-Com agents is Alex Jones's thing, is what I said, which is true. Stop Asian hate. That's my former teacher, a Jewish woman who she told to go back to China. Oh, that's awesome. How do you respond to having the same car as Nancy Pelosi? Wait, what? Porsche haver? What do you mean? You think that's a Porsche?
Ceasefire.
The car that she's getting into? You think that's a Porsche? Look in the garage. Oh, I don't think that's a Taycan. That's Paul Pelosi's car. No. Paul has a Panamera, I think. Yeah. In the garage. That's Nancy's husband. Do you know why I know that? Because he got arrested for drunk driving, if you remember. Yeah. I don't think it's a Taycan. I think it's a Panamera. Yeah. Or was it a Taycan? It might have been a Taycan, but like a shittier version of my car, I think, if it is a Taycan. Because I remember making jokes about it. But I don't think it's a Taycan. It doesn't look like a Taycan. It looks like it might be a Panamera. Wait, is it even a Panamera? Wait, what is that? No, it's a 911 maybe? Or a Carrera? I can't tell. If you're arrested for drunk driving, you're banned from Canada for life. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be. Bro got hammered twice? Yes. The one person who got hammered harder than you for having a Porsche is Paul Pelosi. Yeah, true. I know 911s look kind of shit, but you should have gotten one just for the memes. First of all, I don't think the Porsche 911s look shitty. I think they look awesome. They're an incredible car. The problem with the 911 is that I don't fit into it. Oh, here's the DUI Porsche. Paul Pelosi DUI. Porsche House Speaker's husband wrecked in California crash up for auction. There it is. The 2021 Porsche Carrera up for auction. MKBHD got a 911 and he's 6'3", bro. You have no excuse. He's like a lot skinnier than me. I've sat inside of a 911. I couldn't fit into it. La, 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 no DMCA. La, 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 la,